Okay, so let's dive in this morning. Psalm 130, beginning at verse 1. Here's what the psalmist says. Out of the depths, I cry to you, Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to my cry for mercy. Now, friends, where is the psalmist? He's in the depths, right? In other words, he is in one of the lowest moments of his life. Now, he doesn't tell us what he did, but we can guess that if he's saying that he is in the depths, that he probably did something that was so bad and so heinous that he was overwhelmed with guilt and shame. And friends, it was this guilt and this shame that caused him to cry out to God for what? For mercy. Hey, God, I'm in a tough spot. Things are really bad right now. I am feeling overwhelmed and burdened by the shame and guilt that I feel from my sins. And Lord, I am crying out to you for mercy. Now check this out. The reason why he asks for mercy is because of what he's about to realize. And what he writes in verse 3. Take a look at verse 3. He says, if you, Lord, kept a record of sins, Lord, who could stand? If you, Lord, kept a record of sins, Lord, who could stand? Friends, let me ask you this morning, how many sins have you committed? When you look back on your life, how many sins have you committed? Is it like 1,000 or 10,000? Maybe 100,000? What about 1,000,000? Or how about 1,000,000,000? How many sins have you committed? You know, the answer is that we don't really know. We don't know how many sins that we have committed, but here's the thing, God knows. He knows every single instance that we have fallen short of his standard. You see, this box that we keep on ourselves, these are the things that we can remember, right? In other words, these are the wrongs that stay with us after they happen. But friends, here's the thing, the reality is that this is only a partial record of our wrongs. Because as the psalmist was starting to realize that if God keeps a record of wrongs, if he knows everything we've ever done, then he's not just going to need a box. He's going to need boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes, right? I mean, think about this for a moment, friends. Guess how many boxes that God probably has on me? He's going to need every single storage unit from here all the way to Jacksonville in order to fill the number of sins that I have. Right? That's probably how many boxes that God has on me. And friends, this is why the psalmist cried out to God for mercy. Because he knows that if God keeps a record of every single thing we do, then who can stand? You? Me? Anybody? As the psalmist figured out, the answer was nobody. If God keeps a record of our wrongs, nobody will be able to stand. Now remember, this is a psalm of ascent, which means that we're starting down here, but eventually we're going to end up here. And friends, check this out. The psalmist now begins his ascent by first showing us his very big butt. Okay, that didn't come out very well, but check it out. Verse 4. There's that big butt. But with you, God, but with you there is what? Forgiveness. But with you there is forgiveness so that we can with reverence serve you. But with you, God, there is forgiveness. You see, in verse 4, we see that the way that God deals with our boxes is oftentimes very different than the way that you and I deal with our boxes. For example, some of us, we deal with our boxes by simply ignoring them. When we look back on our life, there are some horrible things that we've done. And you know what we do? Instead of seeking assistance or counseling or trying to make peace with them, we numb our pain by simply ignoring them. It's like we take the lid of the box and we put it on and we shove it into the back of our mind and hope that we never have to think about those things again. And in order to make sure that doesn't happen, what do? We keep busy. We keep running. We keep chasing. We do all these things because we know that the moment that we stop, we're likely going to have to deal with whatever is in this box. And so, friends, some of us, we deal with the sins of our past by simply ignoring them and pretending that they don't even exist. Now, some of us, on the other hand, we do just the opposite. We don't ignore our sins. We actually fixate on them. We are constantly thinking about some of the shameful things of our past. It's like we've never even put the lid on our box because we're always thinking about these things. You wake up in the morning and there it is. Or you're getting lunch with a friend, and all of a sudden your friend says something that triggers that memory, and you just can't stop thinking about it again. Or you lie in bed at night, and you're tossing and you're turning because you're so overwhelmed by the shame and the guilt that you feel from something that you did in your past. You see, some of us, we don't ignore what's in the box. We fixate on it, and we're overwhelmed with this shame and this guilt that we feel from whatever is in this box. But friends, what do we see in verse 4? God doesn't ignore our sin. He also doesn't fixate on our box either. What does he do? He forgives. He forgives our record of wrongs.